I wanted to go over the next section here is valuing bonds. And from my experience of working with bonds and that bond valuation, the idea with bonds is that we can go over the valuation of it as using as present value to see what are ultimately the cash flows from bonds. I'm going to go over the term structure of interest rates and real and nominal rates and risk of default. So the main thing to know about bonds is the idea of this terminology of bond, face value, coupon rate, and all these things. I'm sure that you've worked with in the past. So the idea is that the price of a bond is the present value of all the cash flows, and unlike with equities, cash flows of bonds are easily predictable because it's the coupon and then plus par when it's get totally repaid. So it's easy to see the present value of a bond. With this one, for example, we have a bond that pays 100 euros, that you purchase for 100 euros, pays 4.5 euros every year. And we're saying that the yield to maturity is 0.15. What is the value of the bond? So we basically discount the bond by its yield to maturity year over year, and we see the current present value of the bond. And you can see that the coupon is actually much higher than the yield, which is what's going on now in this low risk environment. So it's going to cost you a lot more to buy this bond in a way to compensate for the higher coupons that you're getting as a result of owning this bond. So the coupon is actually kind of like a dividend that you get, but the purchase price kind of controls what is like your return on this investment is altogether. So I think if you go through this little piece right here, this deciphers a lot of how to work with price of bonds, yield of bonds, and what is par, and all these kind of things. I used to work in the industry of looking at these things. I always used to look at yields and bonds, and it's very interesting. You could always see bond yields in certain currencies always changing based on the economy of that jurisdiction. So it's always interesting to see how fiscal policy, tax policy, macroeconomics impacts bond yields, because bond yields are so dependent on basically interest rates in general. And when that changes, the value of the bonds changes. So this is the piece that we're going to go further into in this week.